Hey friends, Pastor John here. You know how people many times will come up to you and say, how are you? How's your family? And that's a really complicated question. It's a simple question, but it can be really complicated depending on how family life has gone, how your family is doing, and even your concept of family, because a lot of people come from a lot of different backgrounds and experiences when it comes to family. Now, I mention that because there is this concept of the church, so your church group, okay, the fellowship of believers being a family, a church family. And people talk about it all the time. And so inherent to this then, if you're going to have a church family, it's possible that you bring a lot of your feelings and contentions and maybe dysfunction from your own family experience into the family of God, into the church. And when the Apostle Paul is writing Timothy about not rebuking the older men, but exhort them as fathers, the younger men as brothers, the older women as mothers, the younger women as sisters with all purity. There is this call to exhortation, this call to encouragement, to coming alongside and strengthening one another, but being willing to see that the church is in fact like a family ought to be. So the church ought to be like a family ought to be. And so we have to push through, we have to work through a lot of our hang-ups with regard to family in order to see the other people in the fellowship as spiritual fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers. And then as that starts to change our heart towards one another, then maybe we can take some of that home, literally, home, and when family gets together to see, well, I can treat who were strangers but who are now spiritual fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers at church, if I can treat them with grace and mercy and give them a clean slate, maybe I can do that with my own family too. Now, I can't promise that they'll do the same for you because that's just not how that works. But we can start to appreciate people as spiritual family, and we have a chance, a do-over, if you will, to love each other the way that it's supposed to be, to not resent authority structure as God has given. Because God has always given authority structure for provision, protection, loving instruction, and that's how it's supposed to go. Now, our human nature gets in there, makes a mess of things, of course. No, but the way God intends it, we get to practice that among the body of believers, among folks. And so if you have some fear and you naturally are kind of standoffish, especially within authority structures, based on how you grew up, I understand. But here's a chance to love one another as God would have us love one another, to treat one another with all purity, with all encouragement. So I hope that was a little encouragement to you, get you thinking about some things, get you thinking about church family. If you know somebody that this could kind of help get the conversation started, please be willing to share it. I think that would be great. If you have a comment, leave the comments below. I'd love to interact with you. But that's all for now. God bless you, friends.